and we are live with another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you guys are remaining calm amidst this market sell-off. CJ, how are you doing today, my friend?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Been through worse, I suppose.
Yeah. And this isn't something that was more or less unexpected. We've been talking for the last couple of weeks about the possibility of retesting some of these lower levels, and it looks like that's happening. Obviously, it's on the back of some, rather bearish news. China, the crackdown on mining, sent the hash rate plummeting. Bitcoin and a lot of other cryptocurrencies have tumbled as a result. But we'll cover all that today and some more. I know CJ's got a pretty interesting pick for you guys as well. So without further ado, what do you say? Let's hop into this, CJ.
Yeah, I think it's really make or break time for Bitcoin at this particular price level because, we're going back and testing those lows near 30K. Really, we've just been puttering around in this range throughout the past few weeks between 30,000 and 40,000. And really, until we break above one of those range levels, there's not much to do in terms of action and trading. One of our technical analysts at Market Rebellion points out a formation known as like the death or the H of death. Have you heard Brian? I think he
Yeah, yeah,
commented that last cocktail hour.
yeah.
Kind of looks a little bit like that on Bitcoin. Maybe we potentially get a leg down to 26K. I have to imagine there's a lot of potential liquidation prices or stop losses at around 28 to 29,000 in the order book. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself because we're actually bouncing off the lows currently.
Yeah, not a bad bounce off that low, CJ, but I agree with you. There has to be a ton of stop losses right below that 30K range that are just, on the verge of getting liquidated. And that could already be, factored into somewhat of this price, people just exiting those positions as the fear hit the market with this China news. But for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about this level of 31K as a possible significant level going forward. The last 2 weeks, or maybe even longer, last month, I'd say, has been pretty tough as a crypto trader because I feel like I've just been more or less sitting on my hands. But I think it's really paid off to be patient over the last month, obviously. And I'm not going to jump back in now, just a day or two too early after waiting for an entire month. I'm going to wait for some confirmation. I'm going to, wait to see that this market is ready to rebound, that it's putting in a bottom. And one thing that I think is going to be really important over the next couple of weeks, if we can manage to hold this range, CJ, is to just start accumulating. So I've been, I haven't put in any orders over the last month or so. I'm gonna, start buying Bitcoin heavy if it does bounce off this 31K level and kind of remains in this range, because I think once we get that breakout above 42K, it's going to happen really quick. We've been talking about that level as, sort of a catalyst to enter a long trade. And I think that is going to be a real turning point and kind of a marking of the next leg up in the cycle. But I think now could be, a really ideal time to accumulate. But I'm just going to be patient. I've waited a month, not going to jump in too early. I'm very eager, but, eagerness can get you burned sometimes. So I'm going to wait, see if we do dip below 30K. And if we're able to bounce back above 30K, I'm going to start accumulating. That's for sure.
Well, that's good patience of you. Of course, we got that 200-day moving average at about 42K. That's really been the determinant of, are we in a full-on bull market or are we just kind of in this unusual bearish consolidation? But I want to go back to the China and the banning Bitcoin or the banning mining, because this is an interesting way how the market kind of interprets the news. We talk about the fears and the misconceptions about ESG concerns. Then we actually have China put in some enforcements to say, okay, you have to go mine somewhere else where the energy is cleaner. Yet the market actually reacts negatively to that, despite the fact that theoretically it should be good news. But the reason why price dropped is because of the hash rate that Monty mentioned left the network earlier. And we have always found somewhat of a relationship between hash rate and price on the Bitcoin network. So that's pretty interesting. And just wanted to specify that because it seems like it should be better news than what price is actually reacting to.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, CJ. And I was watching Rob from Digital Asset News. He's doing sort of an impromptu live stream right now, a bit of a therapy session for all the worried masses. But I think he made a great analogy. He compared this to sort of growing pains. because, I think in order for Bitcoin to really become mainstream, like you said, CJ, the ESG was a big concern. Centralization of mining in China has been a massive concern for people, for skeptics about Bitcoin over the last, 2 years. That's something I've heard referenced as a bearish, FUD piece for a very long time. So now that, like you said, the hash rate has plummeted a bit, that's going to hurt in the interim. But in the long term, I think this is ultimately a growing point for Bitcoin because the mining is going to become more decentralized. I think we're going to see a lot more mining operations open up here in the United States, like we already have been seeing in places like Texas, and other places where we're seeing lots of environmentally friendly energy options pop up. And, mining is becoming even more profitable here in the States and elsewhere. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I think that, although it's being interpreted as bearish news, I think it's going to be a good thing for Bitcoin in the long term.
Yeah, I agree with you because when one flood or power outage knocks out like a fourth of the Bitcoin hash power in the entire network because of like a few villages in northern China, and price responds negatively to that, like, yeah, that's not the most decentralized protocol. I think we could do better, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, and we will do better. It's becoming more decentralized, but this is just the interim pain, the growing pains that you experience in high school when your shins start to hurt while you're growing. That's what it feels like right now for Bitcoin. We're moving on to bigger and better things, but in the interim, it's tough. But Bitcoin's not alone in this struggle, CJ. The altcoins are selling off. I want to take a look at ETH real quick because it's approaching that level that I have been harping on for like the last month, which is that 200 period SMA at around 1900. We're retesting that level. Looks like we might bounce off that level, but it's all contingent on Bitcoin's price action. Bitcoin dominance is rising almost back into, I think it's at about 47% right now. I think that could still go up even higher into the 50s, which would mean perhaps that ETH could go even lower. I think that ETH is close to putting in the bottom here, though, for a few reasons. One, that 200 period moving average has never been broken in the last 3 years of ETH's price action. I don't expect it to be broken now. There's just so little sell pressure left, I think, for ETH, just in terms of what it's experienced over the last month, a very significant correction. I think people are going to look to this to start accumulating again. But yeah, it's pressing up against that level of 1872 at the 200 period moving average. And if it breaks below that level, we could be in for some more pain. But like I said, I anticipate a bounce off this level. I know some people in the room were talking about that they're content with purchasing ETH at 1900. I think that's a great buy. ETH could go back above 2K, and we may not see it below 2K again for a very long time. So this is a unique opportunity in the market. Days like today, there is a lot of fear in the market, but there's also a lot of opportunity as well. And we've been talking about that divergence between the price action of ETH and Bitcoin. And we might see another instance of that this week because of the discrepancy in those critical levels, CJ. Just look at this 200 period moving average here with ETH. And then let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick and look where that's at relative to it. With Bitcoin, it's acting as resistance. ETH, it's still acting as support. We may get some, divergence in price action over the two in the next couple of weeks, which could create some pretty interesting opportunities to trade this market. But where it stands right now, I'm going to wait. I haven't yet jumped into an ETH trade. I'm going to give it, maybe one day to see if tomorrow we can get a bullish candle, a bounce off this moving average. And if we get that, I will start accumulating. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, with Bitcoin, I've been waiting to hit this price. We're finally here. And, I need to stay true to what I was saying a month ago and need to be ready to buy at this price. And I am.
Yeah, and I have to give kudos to you. You were really highlighting that 1800 level and a high probability that we'd actually hit it on ETH. I didn't think we would, but we did. So got to give credit where credit is due to you, sir. In terms of ETH and the critical levels, I think it just really depends on Bitcoin and the relationship with Bitcoin dominance, as you mentioned. I think it's in periods in which Bitcoin is really in a downtrend, I think it's positive to look at Bitcoin dominance and use it as like the VIX for crypto, as a fear index. When the market is very afraid Bitcoin is usually the best at preserving losses. And so Bitcoin dominance will increase as a result of that. And that chart still looks rather bullish. So until anything changes, we'll still have to keep monitoring that as well.
Yes, we will, CJ. Yeah, that relationship between, risk, the more risk on assets downstream and Bitcoin, I think is one of the most, underutilized trading strategies in the space. But I think it's really playing out nicely now. We're seeing a move out of a lot of these risk on assets, even into Bitcoin, despite the fact that it's selling off. So Bitcoin dominance is looking strong. And, one thing that we can take away from that is that people are selling Bitcoin at a lesser extent to which they're selling the altcoins, which isn't all surprising given, the potential volatility of them. But speaking of altcoins, CJ, would you like to hop into it's only your Doge of the day today. I didn't really feel too confident in picking one, but you got a good one for the both of us. So want to share with the people what you got today?
Yeah, this is a very short time frame, hourly time frame. I think this chart looks extraordinarily similar to Bitcoin, and it's Luna. And on the 1 hour, you can see that we reached a TD by 9 a few hours ago while the Americans were asleep. And we've really come around and created that doji candle and have rebounded ever since then. And it's almost started to create like an inverse fractal top pattern with kind of a reaction rally target up to $5.60, which would really be that smooth moving average, that 20 SMA, the white line up there at $5.60. So that kind of increase in a short-term target to that would not surprise me, especially with the oscillators turning up. Doesn't mean we can't go lower, but I think in the short term, we may see an interesting reaction rally. Same thing with Bitcoin too. Like I said, inverse fractal pattern kind of on the 1 hour, and we could see maybe a short rebound rally to something like 34K before really finding where price wants to stabilize for the day. But that's going to be my Doge of the day. And yeah.
I like it, CJ. Well, I think that's about all we got for today, but I do want to say one thing. I was talking about, accumulating Bitcoin and accumulating ETH. I've been really looking forward to this time period over the last, month. I've been waiting for this. So that being said, every time I plan to, put in a buy order this week, I will be sharing that with the room. I'll be letting everyone know every time I make a purchase. So, we're not a copy trade service, but people do like to know, when we're entering a trade. And I think that, learning how to trade a market like this right now for Bitcoin is so important because we've seen this before. And I highly, highly doubt, I can actually almost guarantee that this won't be the last time we see price action like this in Bitcoin, CJ. So I think the principles we're learning now in this market are going to be very useful going forward. And I look forward to, chatting with you guys in the room and seeing how you're playing this market as well. So if you'd like to join CJ and I, you can try our crypto trading room for just $1 for the first month. The link is right below me. It's marketrebellion.com/try crypto. We got a pro charting service. We got a bunch of education curriculum that CJ and I are constantly adding to, 24/7 chat, trade insights, news, and a whole lot more. So come hang out with us. Like I said, you can try it for just $1 for the first month. And as always, thank you to Voyager for sponsoring this show. Go check them out. You can hold assets up to 9% interest, like USDC. So yeah, that's about all we got for today. Any parting words for our audience, CJ?
Just in terms of education, we are working on a volume course to add to the education center, probably around 3 to 4 separate videos. But John's always talking about that, decoding volume, understanding how it is rocket fuel for stock prices and cryptocurrency prices. So we want to articulate that and give you some courses on decoding volume in the market. So stay tuned for that as well. But thank you to Voyager, and thank you all for watching. That's all I got, Monty.
All right. We will see you guys again tomorrow. Have a good day.